Hello and welcome to The Noise in Your Head. My name is Josh Timko and I'm your host. Man, it has been quite a while since any of you have heard from me, at least on this show. The last episode I released was back in December, I think, and that was a best of 2017 list. I guess a quick little update. Since then, I was in my second semester of senior year at Hofstra University. I'm a film major, so I was making my senior thesis film. I was working on other senior thesis films. I was basically just trying to survive the semester. It was very, very stressful, and I'm pretty glad that I didn't continue with the show because it would have just added way more stress onto me. But alas, here I am. I've graduated. I've moved back home, and I've entered the adult life, as terrifying as that is. And now I have plenty of time to record this show, to put out more episodes, and I really do look forward to doing that. Today is June 8th, 2018, and I'm really going to try to keep it consistent with releasing episodes every Friday from now on, if I can help it. Fridays are just the days that all the new music comes out, so I figure that's probably the best day to release some stuff and talk about some new stuff. So, I look forward to doing that. If you guys follow me on social media, you may have noticed that I posted a video recently where I give a little bit of an update on the show. And one of the things that I mentioned is that normally when I do a review on this show, I pick one album and I pretty much slave over it. I go line by line. I dissect every word, every line, and really just try to find the meaning within every song on the album and piece it all together into something like that. Now I still really, really want to do that, but as you may well know, that kind of takes a lot of time to do, and while I do have a lot of free time, I don't know whether I'm going to be going into the working world pretty soon, so I might not have that much free time. So what I thought would be interesting is if I take albums, let's say every Friday, a whole bunch of new albums come out. We're going to talk about some of them today, but a whole bunch of albums come out. Let's say I pick 5 albums a week. Now, I could listen to those albums once and give you guys my quick take review on those albums, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be calling them quick takes, where I basically pause the recording, I go listen to the album, and then I come back and I tell you immediately what I thought of the album. It's going to be unfiltered, unbiased, undissected album reviews. So that's what I'm going to be doing. In addition to that, I am still going to be picking at least one album a week to dive into more fully. But for purposes of this episode, we'll say that those episodes will be released, let's say like Tuesdays. Every Tuesday, I will release a full album review of an album that had come out the previous Friday. That'll give me enough time to kind of do all the dissecting that I need to, because it is a lot of work. It takes a lot of work. Other than that, we are going to be trying to get some artists on the show. I have a couple people that I'm talking to that said they would be interested. I just have to figure out the best way to set up the interviews, and we'll get the ball rolling that way. I'm going to be having some friends on. I have been planning with my friend Tim that we're going to talk about the new Kanye album. He's a big Kanye fan. He has a lot to say about the album. I'm not the biggest Kanye fan, but I also have some thoughts on the album, so you could be expecting that coming up pretty soon. You know what? I'm really excited to get back, and I'm really eager to start talking about some music. So, you know what? Why don't you say we get into it? We're gonna start off with some quick takes. But first, I want you guys to hear the new intro song, which comes to you from none other than Tim Matashek, aka Timmy Boy. So here's the song "Fiend," which is our new theme song. I hope you enjoy it. What do you guys say we jump right into it with the quick takes? I chose 5 albums that came out this week. A couple of them are, or actually I think one of them is an EP. But I wasn't really too thrilled with the selection this week. I don't know what it was. I didn't really see very much that was really piquing my interest. But I'll just give you the name of the 5 albums or the 5 artists that we're gonna be listening to. The first is the new album by Snail, which just came out. The next we're gonna listen to an album by the band Sinister, which I feel like a lot of people might not have heard of, but they've sort of been in my rotation a little bit for the last couple of years, and I was surprised to see that they had a new album, so I'll give that a listen. Then we're gonna listen to the new album by Serpentwithfeet. He's apparently, this guy's been getting a lot of notoriety lately, and I hadn't heard of him until a couple months ago when he started releasing singles. So I guess I don't know. I actually don't know how I felt about those singles, so I don't really know how I'm gonna feel about this album. But I'll give it a listen. And then M. Ward apparently surprised everyone yesterday by announcing that he was gonna release an album today. So there's an album by M. Ward that I figure I'll listen to, because it's always great when an artist kind of just drops an album on the earth like that. And then the Get Up Kids released an EP. I did not know that the Get Up Kids were still making music, so I'm excited to give that a listen. So those are the 5 albums that we're going to be talking about, that I'm going to be listening to. So up first, I'm going to go listen to the new Snail album and come back and let you know what I think. See you guys soon. Alright, so I just got finished listening to the new Snail album, Lush, which is actually their debut album. So Snail, if you don't know, is an indie rock solo project from guitarist and singer-songwriter Lindsay Jordan. She started playing in 2015. They released an EP in 2016 called Habit. I haven't been huge into Snail before this, and truth be told, I don't know if this album is really going to make me huge into them, but I will say that I really, really enjoyed it. From the get-go, I think that the intro of the album into the song Pristine was a really nice transition, and throughout the whole album, which I kind of find to be a bit of a letdown, is that I found that it didn't really show that much variety overall in the sound. I thought for, I want to say 3/4 of the album, maybe even a little bit more than that, it kind of has that same driving drum throughout each song, which, if that was the point, if the point was to make it all seem to kind of flow together, then it did a good job, I think. But overall, I would have liked to see a little bit more variety. That being said, there were some really great standouts to me. First one, that song Pristine, really nice album, a really nice song to start the album off with. If you don't include intro, which intro was also very lovely. The song Stick, I found very, very interesting. Something about Lindsay Jordan that I'm coming to notice from this album is that she's a wonderfully poetic and honest songwriter. The album is very much, I take it to be about some sort of heartbreak that she's going through, which, a lot of the best albums are bred out of heartbreak. But in this song Stick, she has some very, very hard-hitting lyrics, and her vocal delivery is phenomenal. The chorus, I just want to read to you, got me the most, and it is, "And did things work out for you, or are you still not sure what that means? And it's a hard trip to the kitchen sink, 'cause I can't wash this one clean." That really got me, as someone who's been through breakups and heartbreak before. I thought that was a very, very lovely way to put it. It had a very nice ending too. It was very abrupt, and I liked that. The groove on "Let's Find An Out," which I believe was one of the singles released prior to the album, I thought was very, 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 very interesting. The song "Deep Sea" was a really nice change of pace. It was a lot slower, and again, you really get these honest lyrics, as well as on the song "Anytime," which was the album closer. I thought the lyrics on that one, again, were just haunting. Very, very honest, and I think that was sort of her at the end. She's basically saying that she forgives this person, that she'll forgive him or her anytime. And it's a nice album closer, I think, to get towards the message. So like I said in the beginning of the episode, these are quick takes. This isn't really me delving too much into the lyrics or into the meanings of the entire album. This is just me giving you what I think. Overall, though, I really, really enjoyed this album. I don't know if it's going to be one that I'm going to be coming back to too much throughout the year. Maybe a song or two. Maybe that song Stick, because I think that song Stick really stuck with me. But yeah, overall, this was a really great album, really solid indie rock album. The other thing that I just have to mention, because it was probably the first thing that came into my head, and again, this isn't a bad thing. I don't want to make this sound like a bad thing, so I'll say it up front. But so the album really, really was giving me vibes of Soccer Mommy. If those of you who are aware of Soccer Mommy, it's another female-led indie rock band, and I found myself at the beginning listening to this. I was like, oh, this kind of sounds a lot like Soccer Mommy. Again, not a bad thing, because I really enjoy what Soccer Mommy does. I just found it a little bit interesting. So for fans of Soccer Mommy, I think this is right up your alley. And if you are a fan of Soccer Mommy, you've probably already heard about this album already. But if not, then definitely go check out Lush by Snail Mail. All right, so up next we're going to listen to the album by Ben Sinister, which I believe is called Foolish Games. So I'm going to go head on over and listen to that, and then I'll be right back. See you guys soon. All right, so a little background on Ben Sinister. They are a sort of progressive indie rock band from Vancouver, Canada. They've been making music for a very long time, which I didn't know. They've been around since 2001, I believe. And so they've been around. I haven't really heard too many people talk about them, but they've always had a very interesting style, in my opinion. They've always sort of stuck to that rock band style, but I've always included instruments upon instruments upon instruments in their music. And this album over here, actually, Foolish Games, is no exception to that, because they're doing some stuff that I haven't heard them do before. All right, so let me go through my notes, just so you all know. When I listen to these albums, I'm taking notes, as each song is going by, and so sometimes it takes me a bit to kind of decipher what I'm writing down. So the first thing I have written, one of the singles that was released prior to the album, Heard It All Before. I thought I hadn't heard it before this album, but it had some really nice hard driving vocals. The vocal delivery by Dan Moxon has always been phenomenal. He's a great vocalist. He's got a really great classic rock vocal style. There are these gang vocals towards the end of the track, which I think are great. The whole album on a whole is very dancey. It's very kind of like stadium rock-esque. I could see a lot of people, just screaming their hearts out, dancing their hearts out. And this song is no exception to that. Also, it just really makes you want to dance. The song "Luck Will Set You Free" has some really nice guitars towards the back end of it. Apparently, I didn't have very much to say about that one. "Shannon," which I believe was another single that was released prior to the album. It's a nice, catchy song. It's fast-paced. The whole album, actually, I shouldn't say the whole album. The first half of the album, maybe 3/4 of the album, was very fast-paced, I noticed, and I actually started getting worried about halfway through the album that there wasn't going to be that much variety, which I was surprised, because Ben Sinister has been known for their variety. But luckily, I was proved wrong later on. The song "Show Me How to Love" has some really, really cool, fun synths in the beginning of it. And actually, I didn't know this was going to happen, but it featured Dan Vacan, who some of you may know, if you listen to the band The Dudes, they're another Canadian rock band. The Dudes are a fantastic rock band. I totally recommend going and listen to them. So when I heard his voice pop up, I was like, oh, I know who that is, but who is that? And I had to go look it up. And it's Dan Bacon from the Dudes. Again, another very catchy song. The song "Got Your Back" wasn't a huge fan of. I got to be honest. There, it starts off with some nice piano, but it had just this really generic chorus that I really couldn't get behind. Although I could see plenty of other people enjoying it. The whole album, I gotta say, I wrote this down a little bit halfway through the album. I kind of feel like it's something that to me it just has this feeling of like a group of 20-somethings who are on summer vacation and they're driving down the coast along the water in a Jeep Wrangler, with the roof off, and they're blasting this music, and they go to the beach. I was just picturing the whole time. I was just picturing this group of people in like a Budweiser commercial or a Corona commercial on a beach somewhere, and they're sitting around a campfire at the end. Whatever. That was sort of just how I imagined it. So if you can kind of picture that that sort of style of advertisement, and then like this is sort of the album that would go along with that advertisement. The song "Foolish Games" was really, really groovy, had some really great horns. Anytime you put horns on a song, I'm immediately hooked. There were several movements throughout the song. It was probably my favorite song on the album, I gotta say. It was the title track, and yeah, it's definitely probably my favorite on the album. There were a lot of instruments on the song. I think there was a xylophone at some point near the end. There were these screaming gang vocals at the end of it. I was really into that one. Let me just say that. The song "Reaction" I was pretty bored by, which was the one right after "Foolish Games." So I was a bit let down by that one. It just really didn't do anything for me. The song "I Do" also kind of really wasn't doing it for me. It was very explosive, had some nice synths in it, had a nice build up towards the back half, but other than that, really wasn't doing it for me. The song "Morning Comes," which was the album closer, had a really nice intro. It was really nice, slow, piano driven. Reminded me a bit of Wolfpack. And then there's this explosion halfway through the song, and there's just a wide array of instruments, which was really nice to hear. That was a solid one. I was okay with that one. Overall, the album is a nice, fun rock album. It's a nice album to put on if you're going to the beach or something like that. But to me, it's not something that I'm really going to be revisiting, mainly because the lyrics weren't doing it for me. I really didn't find anything that special in the lyrics. They were catchy. Yeah, for sure. They were definitely catchy, but in terms of them being thought-provoking or really like painting a picture, I didn't really know what any of the songs were about. Let me just say that. I couldn't really figure that much out, which as you may know if you listen to the show, that's like half of what I do on here is just talk about what the songs are about. And I couldn't really do that for any of the songs on this album. They all just kind of just screamed, indie pop or indie pop rock, and there's nothing wrong with that. They certainly were catchy, and I could certainly see myself going to a concert and dancing to these songs. But in terms of me revisiting this album, I really don't think I will, with the exception of maybe a song or two here. I think the song "Foolish Games" was an exception to that. I really did enjoy that song quite a bit. So once again, the album is called "Foolish Games" by Bend Sinister. Go check them out. They're really cool guys. They're a really cool band, and they've been around for a while. They got a long discography. I think this is their 8th studio album, I want to say. It's somewhere up there. They've been around for a while. They got a lot of great, their sound changes throughout their discography. So go check them out. Once again, the album "Foolish Games" by Ben Sinister. Alright, up next we have the album "Soil" by Serpent with Feet, all one word. I have I really haven't listened to anything by Serpent with Feet, so I'm don't really know what to expect going into this. But I'm gonna go listen to it, and I'll be right back. Alright, and I'm back. I'm here to talk about the album Soil by Serpent with Feet. So Serpent with Feet, I really was not familiar with prior to this album, prior to hearing about this album coming out. Really didn't know much about who Serpent with Feet was, but Serpent with Feet is an R&B, electronic, gospel-influenced, sort of experimental artist. And this album has all of those elements in it. It has plenty of R&B, plenty of electronic and experimental music in there, and that gospel influence is just all over the place. So first off, let me just say right off the bat, this usually isn't the type of music that I would normally go listen to on my own. But I'm really glad that I took the chance and listened to this album, because I was, going into it, I was a little. The first couple tracks, I was like, oh yeah, man, this really isn't for me, and I want to be able to talk about it and as objectively as I can. But as the album went on and on, I really started to recognize the care that went into crafting this album, and the level of expertise that Serpent with Feet has within him. And so first I gotta say right off the bat, the vocal delivery on the entire album is phenomenal. It's really no surprise. The first thing you notice about Serpent with Feet is how beautifully he sings these songs, and how beautiful his voice can get, and how high in those high registers, and he's all over the place with his vocal delivery, and I think it's fantastic. And that's definitely something of note. In the beginning, I wrote down a note where I felt that the instrumentals were leaving much to be desired, that they were colorful, but overall they were a bit messy and a bit repetitive. But I will say right now that I think that as I got further along in the album, that actually changed, and the instrumentals actually really started kind of flourishing a little bit for me. The song Morning Song was one that really piqued my interest. There are these pounding drums and these haunting background vocals. Really solid track. The song Seedless, which has this really haunting pre-chorus, and this really interesting experimental elements in the instrumentals. The song Invoice, again, really impressive instrumentals there. The song Waft was really the first time I really started to notice the lyrics in the whole album. The lyrics actually are very beautiful. They're lyrics about loneliness, about longing, about sexual fantasy. The song Waft had this one lyric, he knows love can't exist where there is cologne. I have to think about that. I have to consider that a little bit further, because I don't really know what it means. But Serpent with Feet really has this lyrical style that I find pretty beautiful and honest and open. Like on the song Slow Syrup, which is right after Waft, he says, "I'm a glutton for we can make this work." I thought that was a truly fantastic way to think about that, and as someone who maybe has been in a relationship where you want it to work so badly, so you just keep pumping it out, but really it should have ended a long time ago. So yeah, overall, this album was surprising to me. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did, and I'm certainly impressed with Serpent with Feet as a musician, as a writer, as a singer. Definitely go listen to this album if you are into the the R&B, gospel influenced music, but also really enjoy the more electronic experimental elements as well. So once again, that album is Soil by Serpent with Feet. All right, everyone. So I just listened to the new M. Ward album, What a Wonderful Industry. For those of you, for a little bit of background on M. Ward, real name Matthew Ward. He's from Portland, Oregon. He's been a singer-songwriter for many, many years now. Actually, I just found out that we share a birthday. We're both born on October 4th, so look at that. He's sort of a folk and blues-inspired Americana rock. He is one half of the duo She and Him with Zooey Deschanel. This album, What a Wonderful Industry, is the follow-up to his 2016 album, More Rain. And I gotta say, I haven't listened to M. Ward really all that much, maybe a song here or there. Didn't know much about him. But I gotta say, I was really, really digging the sound of this album, and I definitely gotta go back and check out some more of his discography. Right from the get-go, actually, it was very plain to see that folk and blues influence on him, and that Americana type of rock style. The song "Miracle Man" really got me, which is the second track on the album. It had some really raspy vocals. I know that there were guest vocals from his name Jim James from My Morning Jacket, which I wasn't expecting, but that was really nice to hear. The song "Shark" had some really, really haunting vocals on there. There are some cool electronics in the back half of it. The song "Motorcycle Ride" was this classic bouncy Americana rock. The song "Sit Around the House" was another really bouncy, dancey rock tune that was honestly really catchy as hell. I really enjoyed that one. Might have been my favorite on the album. The guitars on that song also they ripped. That was great. The song "Return to Neptune's Nest" is the only song on the album that I wish was so much longer. I mean the other ones were good too, but like this one, man, it was all instrumental, no lyrics or anything, but it had this beach pop vibe to it. It was fast and it was fun. It had these instantly recognizable guitar riffs and pounding drums. It honestly was too short, and I wish that I could have listened to that song for another 5 minutes. I thought it was phenomenal. Overall, I was really intrigued by this album immediately, basically from the title and also by the circumstances of its release, because it was just kind of popped up out of nowhere. And I think that's always interesting to when artists do that. And the title of the album, What a Wonderful Industry, definitely has something to do with this album. The song "Shark" talks about a producer or a manager named Tommy, I believe his name is, and you could definitely tell that there's some criticism or some discussion about the music industry in general. And I think that this is an album that I would like to kind of explore a little bit deeper and dive into the lyrics and figure out what exactly M. Ward is talking about. And it's definitely solid folk album. Solid, I don't really know who to compare him to, because I feel like he has had a lot of influence himself on a lot of others. But definitely just go check out What a Wonderful Industry by M. Ward, because I might actually end up doing a full review of it pretty soon. Last but not least, we have the new EP from the Get Up Kids. So I'm going to go listen to that. It shouldn't take me very long, but I'm going to go listen to that, and then I'll be right back to let you guys know what I think. Alright, so I just listened to the new Get Up Kids EP called Kicker. and I got some thoughts. But first, some background of the band. They come from Kansas City, Missouri. They were formed in 1995, so it's been a while. They were sort of known in the mid 90s emo scene, otherwise known as the second wave of emo music. They toured with bands like Green Day and Weezer, and before becoming a headlining band themselves. And then they sort of at some point in their career kind of abandoned that emo genre. They didn't really want to be making emo music and kind of just stuck to more like alternative rock, because they kind of saw that the way that emo music was turning in the mid 2000s as being not what they wanted to be affiliated with. So they kind of put their gears more towards alternative rock. They also broke up for a big period of time before coming back in 2010. I want to say they released another album, and then 2011 they released a full length album, There Are Rules. So this is their first release since 2011, and I believe it's going to be it's a promotion for an upcoming full length record that's coming out. And I gotta say, I actually kind of feel like this is a bit of a return to form for the Get Up Kids. It kind of sounds like it came right out of 1997. I gotta say, the songs are fast and punchy and dancey, and I wish I had more of a chance to delve into the lyrics, but they certainly are a little catchy. I think this song. Better This Way and I'm Sorry actually were two of the catchier songs on it. It's only 4 songs long, and I gotta say I was really digging this. It made me really want to go back and listen to the Get Up Kids' older albums. Like Something to Write Home About is just a classic album. But if you don't know the Get Up Kids, I think definitely check out this EP and then go back and listen to their older discography. Personally, I'm a fan of their older stuff prior to kind of shift to alternative rock. I prefer their more emo stuff from the 90s, but go check them out. So once again, the EP is called Kicker, and the band is the Get Up Kids. All right, that does it for this week's round of quick takes. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I know I certainly enjoyed it. But so what I kind of want to do now, since I haven't released an episode in quite a long time, a lot has happened in the, I guess, 5 months that 2018 has been going on, and a lot of great music has come out. So I kind of just wanted to rattle off a couple of albums and artists that I've been listening to, and a couple of albums that I think are some of the best of the year that I don't really entirely see on too many people's lists. So I'm gonna give you guys a list of recommendations. First off, I just want to start off with Car Seat Headrest re-release of Twin Fantasy. It feels weird like putting an album like this. Like if I were to make my top 10 at the end of the year, it would feel weird putting this album on there, because technically the album was released a long time ago. It was written a while ago, but this is just a re-recording of it, and with a couple changes here and there. But I mean, I gotta tell you, I've been listening to that thing over and over and over. It's one of my favorite releases of the year. So go check out Twin Fantasy by Car Seat Headrest. The new Jeff Rosenstock album came out way early in the year. It's called Post. Those of you who have listened to the show for a while may know that I loved the album Worry. It was my favorite album of 2015 when that came out. 2016 when that came out. 2016, yeah. Worry was phenomenal. Post is another phenomenal follow-up to Worry. Sovereign Knows of Your Arrogant Face is the latest from Milo, who goes under the name Scallops Hotel. So under the name Scallops Hotel, he released the album. So under the name Scallops Hotel, he released the album Sovereign Knows of Your Arrogant Face. Again, very early in the year. I think it was January. Another great album. Titus Andronicus released A Productive Cough, which was sort of a change of pace for them. It was like more of like a bar rock, jam band sort of album. It was very interesting. I'm not the biggest Titus Andronicus fan, but I heard it and I was like, oh, this sounds much different than what I've heard before. It wasn't as heavy as their other stuff. JPEGMAFIA is getting a lot of recognition for his album Veteran, and I gotta say, I think it's completely deserved, because man, what a great album. Superorganism. Oh, Superorganism. Superorganism released their first album, self-titled, and man, I'm gonna be talking about this album a lot, and I think you could definitely expect it when I end up doing my top 10 of the year, because I can't get enough of this album. I just think it's so colorful, and colorful is like the best way to describe that album. Soccer Mommy released Clean, which is again getting a lot of notoriety, and rightfully so. The band is like an indie rock, bedroom pop sort of band. It's fronted by Sophie Allison, who I can't get enough of. She's a wonderful musician and writer, and I'm really looking forward to whatever Soccer Mommy does in the future. The band US Girls, who I had never heard of before, put out an album called In a Poem Unlimited, and I gotta say again, probably one that you'll see on my list later on in the year. I wish I can go on and on about these albums, but I'm trying to keep it brief. My boys over at McCafferty released an album. I have a lot of thoughts about McCafferty, and of which I'm not going to express here. I guess I will just say that I love those guys, and I wish them all the best. Some things have happened with the band lately, and again, I won't go into it, but they released their album Yarn and went out on tour, and things have kind of fallen apart from there, but the album Yarn is definitely still on repeat for me, so definitely go support those guys. Yarn is just a fantastic punk record. Year of the Rat by Rat Kid Cool, which was one of the members of the Front Bottoms, who kind of branched off and created his own solo project called Rat Kid Cool, and he finally got released. Year of the Rat through Take This to Heart Records, I believe. Invisible Ink, which is a side project of George Watsky, which I had no idea about. I did not know that he had a side project, and he, out of nowhere, he just like posted on social media, hey, by the way, this side project that I did, Invisible Ink, that he does with several other artists. The album is called Fine Print, and I honestly can't recommend it enough. I thought it was a very solid album, very experimental hip hop, but also, has the same George Watsky style. Rainbow Kitten Surprise put out an album, How to Friend Love Freefall, which I cannot stop listening to. That album is fun as hell. I don't know how they do it. They for me have not put out a bad record yet, and I don't see them stopping anytime soon. So go check out the new Rainbow Kitten Surprise album. Shakey Graves put out Can't Wake Up. Oh man, so many great albums. I really wish I hadn't put the show on hiatus so I could actually talk at length about these albums. I'm sure you guys will hear me bring them up later on. A very small band by the name of Michael Cera Palin, great name by the way, put out an EP called I Don't Know How to Explain It. Yeah, I Don't Know How to Explain It by Michael Cera Palin. They're just like a fun punk band from, I don't know where they're from. I think they're from New York, but they have this cover of If It Makes You Happy by Sheryl Crow, I think did the original, that I cannot get out of my head. I think it's better than the original, honestly. That record, that EP is called I Don't Know How to Explain It by Michael Cera Palin. And then most recently, last week came out God's Favorite Customer by Father John Misty, which, spoilers ahead, I'm going to be doing a full review of, so you could expect that within the next week somehow. And the new Kanye record, yay! I gotta say, I was a fan. That opening track, I Think About Killing You, really blew me away. I really didn't think that Kanye had something like that in him, but I'm a fan of Ye. You could say I'm a fan of Ye. And last but not least, I want to give a shout out to Joan of Arc for their album 1984. I've been listening to Joan of Arc for a couple of years now. They're really quirky, really experimental band, fronted by Tim Kinsella, who you may know from Captain Jazz and other various projects. But Joan of Arc released 1984 last week, and I haven't heard a lot of people talking about it. But it's a wacky one, man, and I would love to get a chance to talk about that some more. So yeah, those are the albums that have kind of been piquing my interest this whole year, and I'm really hoping for some more great stuff. If anyone has any recommendations for anything that's come out this year and wants me to listen to it and bring it up on the show, I totally 100% will. So please feel free. So I just want to move straight on to some news. I want to let you guys know that the new Mom Jeans album Puppy Love was announced that it's going to be coming out July 3rd. Year of the Snitch from Death Grips is coming out June 22nd. And Ross from Friends, who is this instrumental producer, has a new album, I believe a debut album called Family Portrait. That's coming out pretty soon. I did not write the date down, but it is coming out pretty soon. And there's a single out for it called Project Cybersyn. I listened to it. I'm not the biggest fan, but hey, some people out there are. So those are all the three major pieces of news that I wanted to share with you guys. And that about does it for this week's episode of The Noise in Your Head. Let me just say that I am very, very excited to be back. I hope those of you who are still out there listening enjoy the show and will contact me on social media if you ever want to pitch an idea for the show, want me to talk about a certain artist, want to talk to me if you are an artist, or want to come talk on the show if you want to talk about something music related or music industry related, because I'm certainly looking for all those things. Just a little preview for future episodes. I'm going to be doing a review of the Father John Misty album, God's Favorite Customer. My boy Timmy Boy and I are going to be talking about the new Kanye West album, Yay. Those are the only two things we have planned so far. But based on my listening this week, I think I might have to give M. Ward a little bit of a dissection and see what I can uncover about What a Wonderful Industry, because that album kind of piqued my interest. So I think I might try to dive into that. Either that or Soil by Serpent with Feet. Both of those albums I think were really interesting. But also Lush by Snail Mail. I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to pick one of those. Let me know what you think I should review. Which of those three you think I should review, and I'll do it. With all that being said, you can find us on all forms of social media. You can find us on Facebook. You can just search The Noise in Your Head. You can find us on Twitter at Noise in Heads. You can find us on Instagram at The Noise in Your Head. I update all of those fairly regularly. Every time we post something new, I'm always updating my story, and I always respond to whoever contacts me. Thank you to Katsumi Richards, who is always commenting on all of my posts and stuff. It's good to hear from you, and I'm gonna be in contact with you, I promise, and we will get an interview in. Trust me, that will happen. All right. You can also email in at thenoiseinyourhead@gmail.com. You can email in with questions, things you want me to talk about. You can just let me promote your band, and I'll do all of that. So, from all of us here at The Noise in Your Head, which is just me, I mind you, I want to say I hope you all have a great week. I'm very happy to be back, and I'm really looking forward to what the rest of this show is going to be. I'm looking forward to the rest of the year, and I'm looking forward to hearing some great music. All right, take care, everyone. Time, but it's okay.
Sorry, guys.
Like,
were we under an hour?
Yeah.
Because we had all that. We had the. Oh, we stopped it, but we had that chunk at the beginning.
Ooh, we had so much in the beginning.
Yeah.
So much chunk in the beginning.
Oh God, it's still recording, so we can add all this. Yes, it is.
It is. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I have to
we
go in
have
there.
so much chunk at the beginning. It's not even funny.
I'm gonna put that up here. So much chunk. You know what? So much chunk is gonna.
Too much chunk.
Oh, that's gonna be something. So I'm gonna let's put that on the t-shirt.